How's it going, everybody? Josh here with Dedicated Health, and today we're continuing our big 3 lift demonstrations. We're going to break down the deadlift today, the king of the hinge movements. This is a very important exercise, not only to put on mass on your legs, but your back as well. A whole body posterior chain exercise that you cannot do without. If you can deadlift, you need to be, but you need to be doing it right too. So let's go ahead and break it down.
So let's just jump right into it. This is a very important exercise that you need to be doing and you need to be doing right. But just like every exercise, it starts with getting to the bar. So let's talk about foot placement and width when it comes to being at the bar. Let's start with how wide your feet should be. Now this is for a traditional deadlift. There is a sumo deadlift that's slightly different, and we might cover that in a future video if you're interested. But today we're talking about just a conventional deadlift. Now, with a conventional deadlift, you want your feet to be about hip width. If you need to go a little bit wider due to your stability needs, then you can, but the ideal position is about hip width. Now, for a very narrow guy like myself, that means you're not going to have a very wide base. If you're a wider guy, then you're going to have a wider base. This is very important because you want to keep your body in line without any kind of curves or bends. You want that pressure coming straight down from the hips, straight through your feet and through the ground. Next is how close the bar is to you. So this is one that a lot of people mess up. They try lifting the bar from an unideal position where the bar is just too far out, and this puts a lot of strain on the lower back. A good key to make sure that you have your feet in the right place is to make sure that you can see your laces on the other side of the bar. This is very important because this will make sure that it stays nice and close to you. This should put your shins about 1 inch away from the bar. And this is vital because whenever you get down to the proper position, that means you're going to actually be bringing your shins to the bar. This will be the ideal position for lifting and making sure everything stays in line. Okay, next up is going to be hand placement. This is also very important because if you put your hands in the wrong spot, it can lead to all kinds of nasty injuries like bicep tears or just plain making this lift next to impossible because you've made it more inefficient. If you want to move some heavy weights, you don't want to have your arms wide, because this is going to effectively shorten your arm length and make it very difficult to lift the bar up. Now from a strength point, that is ideal, but from a biomechanical point, that is awful, because not only are you wider, it's going to be harder. A lot of people can't even get low enough as it is. You're just going to have to get that much lower to perform this movement, but you're also putting your arm at an increased risk of being flexed and bent at the elbow, which is what leads to terrible bicep tears, and you do not want that. So a good rule of thumb, you want your hands shoulder width apart and straight down at your sides, just a little outside of the legs, so that way you're not grinding your hands against your legs as you pull the bar up, which will just make this so awkward and uncomfortable. But your arms should be completely straight. Next up is how you're gripping the bar. This is also important because there's several different grips out there. There's mixed grips, there's hook grips, there's double underhand, and honestly, when it comes to this, there's nothing that's going to beat the double overhand. This is going to be the best biomechanical way to hold the bar because it's not going to cause any kind of imbalances like a mixed grip would. Now, yes, you will have a little bit more grip strength with the mixed grip. I'm not going to lie to you, you will be stronger because if the bar starts to roll, all it's going to do is roll more into the other hand. The issue though is up top, you're going to run into a bunch of imbalances. You're not going to be holding the bar properly, and it will increase the risk of wanting to curl the bar with one of your arms to get that little extra inch you need to get to the top, which, like I mentioned before, is awful for your biceps. This is not a bicep movement. Even though the biceps might be slightly engaged just because you're flexing everything, they should not be flexed in trying to curl the bar in any way, because they're just not going to be able to handle it, and it's not going to end pretty for you. If you start to lose grip too often, you can always throw in some of those wraps or something along those lines that will help you perform this movement a little bit better. However, I do recommend trying to just increase your grip because that is important for overall health and any other lift you may do. Okay, now that you're holding the bar the right way and you have your feet in the right place, it's time to get our body in the right place. This is where a lot of people mess up, and a lot of people feel like this is a very unsafe lift because they mess it up here. If you do this lift properly and you follow these rules, this is a very safe lift and you'll be able to perform it very safely each time. It's very important that you get this part right because this is where injuries happen. And this is a very important workout that everyone should be doing because it is one of the best posterior chain workouts you can do. It will activate almost every muscle in your posterior chain, and use it as a functional unit, which is very vital if you want to stay healthy and use your body as it's intended to be used. Keeping your lower back flat. Sounds simple, but it's something that a lot of people mess up. You want to make sure that your chest is up and your hips are down. This is going to force you to stay in the right and proper alignment. You can actually encourage this movement by flexing the lats. Just imagine you're doing a straight arm pull down. You're pulling the bar to you. You're pulling the bar to you as you lower your body down. Your shin should make contact with the bar and should remain having contact with the bar the entire time you're pulling the bar up. The more engaged your lats are, the harder it is you're going to be able to round through this movement. So make sure you have them engaged and make sure you keep that lower back nice and flat. You should be a table back there. Now that your body's in proper alignment, it's time to actually perform the movement. There's some keys here that a lot of people miss whenever they're performing it, which makes it far less efficient, and they're not going to pull as much weight as they should be able to. For starters, you want to make sure you pull the slack out of the bar. This is very important. You don't want to just jerk on the bar. You don't want to pull from an unstable surface. Just like you don't want to jump from sand or run in sand if you're trying to get the most efficient and most energy output, this is going to make it so much more efficient and make sure that you're actually going to perform the movement properly. So pull the slack out of the bar before you lift. Once you get to the position where there's no more slack in the bar, this is when you're going to actually perform the lift. You want to start by pushing through the grounds with your legs. This is the part of the lift where it's all legs. You shouldn't be using your back here. You should imagine you're doing a leg press. You're pushing the ground away from you. You're going to do this until you get to about your knees. Once you get to your knees, that's when you're going to start using your hips and back. You want to bring your hips forward. You're no longer using your legs in this lift, but your butt and back. You're bringing your hips all the way forward and flexing the glutes until you're perfectly aligned and straight. Once you get to the top of the movement, this is where you do it all in reverse. You lead with the hips. It's all back and all hips until you get to your knees. Then it's all legs. You should be able to coast the bar down. And the entire time you're performing this lift, the bar should be maintaining contact with your shins up to your knees and your thighs up until your hips. Once you do it, you repeat the process in reverse all the way back down. This is also where you can determine where your lagging points are in the lift. If you realize that you feel like your legs could handle more weight but your back cannot, that means at the top part of the lift, once you get to your knees, is the part where you'll get stuck. And you need to perform exercises that will strengthen your back and you can actually increase your lifting power. If you realize from the ground up is where you have the most issues, this is going to be your leg. You need to perform more leg exercises to increase your leg strength to get past that sticking point. You can also increase this lift by including modalities like bands or various different drop-off weights so that whenever you're performing this movement, you are breaking through those sticking points.
Okay guys, there you have it. That's a breakdown of the deadlift, the king of hinge exercises, and one of my personal favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be breaking down the bench press next. If you'd like to see anything else, please comment below. Please remember to like and subscribe, it really helps us out, and hit that bell to stay informed. Until then, stay dedicated.
If you're looking for a program that uses exercises like these and in the right way, head over to dedicatedhealthgym.com and we'll take care of any of your fitness needs. We have supplements, online training, even a full gym facility if you're ever in the Terre Haute region. Just stop by, say hi, and remember, always stay dedicated.